hopefully just really build a great name for ourselves as you know, a senior supporting community and networking group. So appreciate all of you just continuing to be, you know, aware of that and trying to make sure that that happens for our group. And so this morning we have a really great speaker, Felix. She will be joining us this morning, and I'm gonna let her just really share with you what she can provide as a service. But I would love, Anna, I just love your story. And I just think that, you know, you being able to share your story before you share, you know, the solutions that you provide in the financial world, and then ultimately how that can segue into assistance for seniors and maybe even, you know, adult children of seniors for themselves, because a lot of times these people are inheriting money from their senior parents. So that's something to always be thinking about, is how we can help those, you know, adult children through that financial situation. But would love for you to share your story. Anna is the Executive Managing Director for CalChoice Financial, and she currently lives in Turlock. And she works diligently to help those who are in need of, you know, tapping into their financial power, do that as successfully as possible. So Anna, I'm going to turn it over to you, and we're looking forward to hearing from you.
Awesome. Well, thank you. Good morning, everyone. It's great to be here. I love that the mission of this group is to help seniors, and that's why I'm here, hoping to be able to bring some value to that. Joyce alluded to my story, and just to keep it short and simple, almost 10 years ago in December, it'll be 10 years that I became a widow. And when that happened, I realized that I really needed to shore up on my financial literacy. It had been something, had been a business owner for over 20 years, but it was something that my husband predominantly took care of. And so one of my messages that I share with women all the time is, you know, don't ever let yourself get in the position of leaving your financial literacy, your planning to someone else, whether that be an employer or your spouse, because when things like this happen, you need to know what you're doing, and you don't want to have to make major decisions when you're dealing with grief and stress and worry and fear. And so my motto is always plan today, protect tomorrow, because when you can make these decisions in you know, with time and no rush, and be enjoying the knowledge and learning these things, it's just a far better outcome for everyone. So what I realized at that time, as I went looking for help that I obviously needed, was I couldn't find someone that I felt was just willing to empower me with some information and not try to just sell me something. And so it was frustrating, and it just added to the stress and the fear that I had, that you know, where could I get this help? And it kind of planted a seed that maybe I should become that person. And I didn't even know what that looked like. I didn't know if that was possible, but it made me think, wow, I bet other people are feeling this way as well. And as I continued to do more research and look more into it, yes, I found that there were a lot of people that felt that same way. And so I was hoping maybe somehow I could make a difference in the industry. And so it's been a 10-year journey. Started doing my education. At the time, I was traveling to the Bay Area, working there, which was, you know, crazy, up at 4 and home late. And but in that journey, I worked with a couple of different companies and realized that as a whole, the financial industry has a lot of holes in it in terms of really educating different groups of people, women being one of them, seniors being the other. And there's just a lot of information out there. And if we don't really dive in deep and figure out where is this coming from, is the fact that I'm being told to do this have anything to do with who that person's affiliated with, for example, All of these things can be helpful in us figuring out what is the best path. So that's what I do now. Is I work with CalChoice Financial, and I've aligned myself with them because in working with the other couple of companies, I realized that we don't always put the client first in some of these other models. And when I got told by the second company I worked with that we can't be profitable building cases like you do, I was like, oh wow, I can't be working with you if you're not putting the client first. So had to separate myself from them, and ended up actually not being able to practice in the state of California for 6 months because of that move. But it was in that time that I found CalChoice. And so our mission is just to help everyone and to put the client first always. What I wanted to do today was just bring some general education about a couple of things that we all should know. And then I'm going to address a couple of things that are very specific to seniors. There's a ton of things that we could talk about, and I wanted to keep to the time frame that we had talked about, but there are just things that are specific to seniors in that they might be given information that, you know, has partial truths to it. And there's a couple of things that I wanted to address with that. So I wanted to start, let's see, can I share my screen? Yeah, okay. So I wanted to start with, and I'm gonna have to move in and out of here. So just a couple of things that all of us need to know. And that is the tax factor with our money. We all are aware that we need to pay taxes on the money that we earn, but when we pay the taxes and how we pay the taxes can have a huge difference in our future and what we're able to build money-wise. So in this example, we're talking about taking $1 and doubling it 20 times and paying 33% gains on that. If we did that, we would have $28,466. And if we do that same doubling of the dollar 20 times and we pay no taxes on that, we have over $1 million. Now that is crazy when you think of the effect of taxation on your money. So it's very clear that we need to control when and how we pay taxes on our money. And so that's what this shows, is that really we have 3 places, or I call them 3 buckets, in which we can grow our money. So we have the taxable bucket here, and these are things like, you know, your emergency fund that's sitting in your bank, any CDs that you may have, stocks and bonds and mutual funds. So most of your financial people, your financial advisors, are working in this bucket, and the funds that you have with them is in this bucket, the taxable bucket. So these funds are all 100% taxable. They get 1099 each year, and it's where, you know, the taxation is at its premium here. The second bucket that we have is the tax deferred bucket. And I would say that probably 90% of people are building their retirement in this tax deferred bucket. So that would be your 401ks, your IRAs, your 403bs. It's not listed here, but 457 plans would be here. Those are your federal and state workers, and any SEPs that you would have are going to be in this bucket. Now, the contributions to this bucket are tax deductible to you. However, anytime you take money out of any of these accounts, it's treated as ordinary income. And if you take out money in some of these instances before you're 59.5, you'll actually have penalties for taking it out on top of paying for the taxes. So you have to be very careful what percentage of your money you're growing here. And as I said before, most people are building all of their retirement here. So that's a problem, because I know what my taxes are today. I don't know what my taxes are going to be 20 years, 30 years down the line. And most people agree with me that, especially after this pandemic and all the things that have been happening, we're going to be paying for this situation further down the line. So the only way that the government's going to be able to do that is to raise taxes. So growing all my money somewhere where I'm going to pay taxes later can really put us at a disadvantage in the future. So we need to evaluate. And there's actually, what I love about some of this stuff is that you can figure it out mathematically, like what percentage of my retirement can be in this bucket for me not to have, you know, as much negative impact later on, just depending on the numbers. Traditionally, people have about 63,000 in their 401ks, which is not enough for retirement, but having it all here also makes that like half of that, because you haven't paid the taxes yet. So ideally, we would start moving some money into our tax-free bucket, where it's 100% tax-free to us. It doesn't matter when we access the funds. We can do that before 59.5 if we choose to, because at the end of the day, it is our money. So where can we do that? We can do that in Roth IRAs. The only problem with a Roth IRA is that you can only put in $7,000 a year. And if you make over $213,000 in a year, you no longer qualify to have a Roth IRA. So we have a small window of place where we can utilize that, but it is tax-free. We can do a Roth conversion, which means we could take money from here and we can convert it into a Roth. And those are great because that money is going to grow tax-free. The only problem is that when we make that move over, we have to pay the taxes. So for some people, that's difficult. That's kind of done over some span of years, depending on the amount that we want to move over and the amount that the person can pay the taxes. And I'm going to talk about a solution to that at the end of the presentation. And then the other place that we can grow money tax-free is the private reserve account, PRA. And this is exclusive to CalChoice Financial. I'm not really going to talk a lot about this today. It is something that we can address at another time. But in this place, you're able to fund it to the degree that you want to. It doesn't matter what your income is. You have a lot more flexibility. And so it's a great option, and really one of the only ways to grow money tax-free that has no limitation to it. And so I think it's just a good conversation for people to realize that this is actually possible, because when I meet with people, they don't even know that they have a way to build retirement tax-free. And so I want to bring awareness to the fact that, yes, that's a possibility. It is something we can do. It is something that's tailor-made to each person, and we can figure out what is the best scenario for them. But it's a great option as opposed to the 401k. And the only other thing I'll say about the 401k, and just kind of think about this, it was created in 1978. It was created to be used with a pension plan. And pension plans are just about obsolete. There's very few people, very few industries that still have pensions. Those that do, it's a great thing. So if it was meant to be with a pension plan and we no longer have pension plans, we are now at 50% of what that original plan was designed to be. And we don't do anything like we did in 1978. Now, I mean, we have smartphones, we're carrying, cameras in our pockets, and, our children are, but we're still growing money like we did in 1978. So that really needs to change. And that's the story behind that. Something else I wanted to bring to your attention, maybe some of you have heard of the rule of 72 before, but this concept, it's disputed whether it was Einstein or an Italian mathematician, but the idea behind it is if you take 72 and you divide it by the interest that you're receiving, that will tell you how many years it's going to take you to double your money. So if you are getting 1%, whoops. If you're getting 1% on your money, then it's going to take you 72 years to double that money. So if you're 21 and you have $5,000, you'll be 93 before you have 10,000. Obviously, not the arena we want to be growing in. And so you see here the numbers. At 3%, it's going to take you 24 years to double your money, and you see at what age that happens. I actually met with a client yesterday that her advisor, she's young and has inherited a lot of money, and I was curious what the advisor was projecting would be her growth. So did some math, and he was projecting her growth to be at 3.7%. And I'm here to tell you that most of your mutual funds, those type of things, are paying somewhere between 3 and 4% by the time you take away fees and just the ups and downs of the market. So that means that most people are in this arena of about 24 years to double your money. Not a great scenario. And so we'd really like to look at other ways to do that. There are other ways to get more of that. Obviously looking here, I mean, if we could secure something that would get us 12%, we could double our money every 6 years. That would be a much better scenario. So just something to think about as part of the overall picture, like what is my money earning where it's at, and are there better ways to get a better return on my money from that. Another thing that I now pivoting more to things that are more specific just to seniors. Maybe some of you have heard of an annuity, and many times seniors get targeted for this because it is a great product for a senior if it's done correctly and if it's the right one. And I'm going to have to escape on this for a second, but what I wanted to share is so that you know within your family, within your circle of influences, what a good annuity looks like, because there are a ton of them out there. And as you can see, if you don't know, an annuity is a long-term retirement savings plan that can protect you from outliving your money. And it's a contract that you make with an insurance company. You give them a certain amount of money, they grow it generally for 10 years, and then they promise to give you a certain amount on an annual basis that you cannot outlive. So one of the challenges that we have with seniors is if they've had some losses in their retirement, if they had some things happen, life happens to all of us, they may be living longer into their retirement and not have enough money set aside. And so annuities are one way to make sure that they have money that they can never outlive. Obviously, the sooner that you can get one of these, the better. But, you know, I even have clients that come to me in their early 60s and they're a little concerned about, you know, wow, you know, inflation's higher than I thought. I took some hits in the market, and I'm a little concerned about, you know, not running out of money. We have longevity in my family. And that's a wonderful thing, but it's kind of sad when you're looking at, oh, I'm going to probably live longer in retirement than I worked, and I might be running out of money. So this is one of those things that can help against that. The thing about annuities, and like I said, I've seen seniors be preyed upon by those that sell the ones that are not good, is that if they're variable, which means that they are in the market, then you can take loss from them. And so there is no guaranteed amount that they're going to make. And the fees can be very high in a variable account, which is why a lot of companies sell them, because they get paid very well to sell an annuity. And then the senior is holding something that's losing value between losses in the market and fees that they're paying. So if you're going to do an annuity, the recommendation is that you do a fixed index annuity. And the reason for that is it is not directly in the market, so it can never lose money. And there are no fees associated with it. So you don't have money kind of coming out of the back end without you realizing what's happening to it. If it is a fixed indexed annuity, then it can be a great concept for a senior to have to make sure that they're not running out of money. And I like this particular one because it's the only one in the market that actually continues to grow even after you start taking money out of it. And it actually, to my knowledge, is the only one that's being sold now across hundreds of different ones out there that actually does that. So I wanted to just show you what that looks like so that if you've never seen one, you have some knowledge of how that works. This was built on, let me show you. So this was built for Sally Senior, is the name of the client, 65 years old, and she has $200,000 that she wants to do something with. So in this scenario, we put in that $200,000. You'll see that here. Right away, this annuity gives her a benefit of $40,000, just as part of how they credit their accounts. So it's going to grow from a base of $240,000. And as I said, as are typical with annuities, it's a type of thing that you just set it and forget it. So it has to be money that you don't need immediately now. You're looking to grow it for the future. And that's another thing. You never want to take all of your liquidity and put it in something like this. If a senior only has $40,000 in the bank, an annuity is absolutely not the good strategy for them. This is money that they don't need right now. It may be just sitting in CDs or in the bank or in something that's not getting them that high percentage that we were showing earlier. And if that's the case, then we can take that money and put it in something like this. And that's another caveat to this is only good if this is dispensable income, not we're taking their last dollar. So you see what happens here in 10 years, Sally Senior can start to take out $27,745 per year for the rest of her life. Can you all see this? Okay. So in a traditional annuity, this would be the magic number. This would be what she would get for the rest of her life, even when the account goes to zero, which you see happens here at age 66. She continues to get that money, that's what we're talking about. This is money you cannot outlive. But in this particular scenario, with this annuity, every 2 years, that minimum amount actually increases. And so at age 78, her new amount would be $30,000, and she would never get less than that per year. But she does continue to have the potential to have it grow. So at 79, her new number is $33,000, and it goes that way. So I love this annuity because generally with annuities, you only have growth in this 10-year period, which it's designed to do, but then after that, there's no growth. And with this one, you absolutely do have the potential for growth. So it's my favorite one out there, with the caveat of there's one other one for a different reason, and I'll address that. I don't have one actually here, but so you can see that here at age 86, her account is actually at zero, but now her new amount is $45,000 a year, and it will continue to grow until death. So it's a great thing to add to the portfolio. Now, there is one other annuity on the market, and I didn't have one that didn't have someone's actual information on it that I could use, but it's with a company called Allianz, and that one is particular to long-term care. So sometimes, given their situation, they might want to get two different ones. One that would give them growth like this, and one that would address the long-term care issue. Because it's an issue. And seniors are, they say 72% of them at some point will need some form of long-term care. So with that other annuity, what happens is you actually can write it on the couple. And let's just say, so that you can kind of visualize this, let's say that annuity is, 27,745, and one of them ends up going into a nursing facility. For the time that they are in there, this number doubles. So instead of getting 27,745, they would get double that money for a 5-year period if that person was in a facility of some sort. That is huge, and that's one of those major expenses moving forward in old age that can really drain a portfolio. And so depending on what the senior wants, what they're interested in, what their concerns are, that can be a really good thing to have. What I love about that one is that, let's say that senior that's in the living facility passes away, that benefit now goes to the spouse and it covers them, and that contract doesn't end until the death of the second spouse. So both of them are covered with that type of coverage. So it's phenomenal. It's just, people need to know that it's out there and available, but that not all annuities are designed this way. So you really want to be, speaking with someone that can go through that and make sure that you're not getting one of the ones out there that's not so great. The other thing that I wanted to address was a reverse mortgage. Now, I know that typically people have a negative viewpoint of reverse mortgages. I did myself for a long time. I did not think it was a good thing. There is actually a new form of a reverse mortgage out there. It's called a HECM. It stands for Home Equity Conversion Mortgage. And I wanted to just play this quick video because as this has evolved over the years, some really big thinkers in the financial world are embracing this new thing, and I wanted to share it with you. I don't know if any of you have heard of it, but it's kind of very much on the new end, and I think you'll appreciate the caliber of the people that are talking about it here.
When I started reading about reverse mortgages, I think it really was an opportunity to see that the normal conceptions people have about them may not always be right. Like, I guess I didn't even really fully understand the idea that you don't necessarily lose your house with the reverse mortgage.
I have to say, the thing that really surprised me about reverse mortgages is that when you take out a home equity conversion mortgage or reverse mortgage and you don't use it, that the line of credit actually grows.
I didn't know very much about reverse mortgages. So a lot of things surprised me. And I think that's true of so many consumers. I didn't know, for example, you could keep the title to your house.
Fees are just much lower than people expect. So I think that we've sort of legislated a responsible lending program. And right now, reverse mortgages are a really attractive product.
The most surprising element of all of that is the fact that when the credit line is not drawn upon, or to the extent that it's not drawn upon, it actually grows.
I'm sure the common answer is going to be the line of credit growth. And I think, but not just the growth of it, but the growth independent of the home value.
What the line of credit does is provide a set of cash that you could hold in reserve until those older years. It's guaranteed to be there, government backing, it's got all these cool things. It's going to continue to grow. It's guaranteed to grow. So it's a tremendous risk reduction tool for the out years. And it's that growth along with the tax-free properties and the guarantees to be there that makes that such a powerful long-term tool.
Okay, so I just wanted to bring that to your awareness that this type of thing is out there. And so I thought I would give you a couple of examples. I'll be wrapping this up here soon. Again, it's called a HECM, home equity conversion mortgage. And the idea is that you are creating a line of credit with the value in your home. So this can be used so many different ways. This is the payment that the client could take out on a monthly basis right away. You can see that this definitely can shore up any retirement lapses that may be occurring, or they can set it up to receive a 5-year term, this much a month, or 10-year, this much a month, just depending on when we turn that on, what the reasons are, what their needs are. Some people want to continue. What I love about this program is that someone can continue to make their payment if they want to. They can have it like a choice, like, do we want to pay the payment this month or don't we? If we want to go do a trip or do something else, we choose not to pay the payment this month. They have that option. And when they do make the payment, it's increasing this line of credit that's based on their home. So it's kind of a really cool concept. The benefits are that the proceeds are considered tax-free. They do not impact their provisional income. So again, it's not going to count against Social Security funds, other pensions, other things that they get. And they can be stopped, restarted, or adjusted as needed. So it's not like once you're in that, then you're not able to make the payment at all, or not able to change that at all. So it does give them a level of flexibility. And I don't know how to let's get rid of that. So this is just kind of a case study that we kind of put together to show a client about what that would look like. So we've changed the names and that type of thing, but they're 62. Because of COVID, they may need to retire sooner. They have paid off their home, $650,000. They have $1 million in qualified funds, but they're in the same bucket that I talked about. Everything was in the tax deferred bucket, and they want to be able to move that and do some Roth conversions. Remember, I talked about they have to pay the taxes up front to do that. So their situation was they didn't have the money to actually pay those taxes. So the plan here was to use this mortgage to create a line of credit that we could pay the taxes and do those Roth conversions on an annual basis. So they got the reverse mortgage. The amount that they got was $315,000 was their line of credit. They're withdrawing on an annual basis $21,600. They needed an additional $1,000 each month to just make their bills. The goal was to not tap into Social Security yet, because if you can wait to tap into Social Security as long as possible, it's growing like 8% every year. And they wanted to hold off and not have to do that until like age 72 if possible. So this was a 10-year strategy. How could we help them do that? So within this withdrawal is the $9,600 that they needed to do the conversion over 10 years to start moving that money in that tax deferred bucket into the tax-free bucket. And they're taking out an additional $1,000 that they need for their income. And so you see that they're able to do this for those 10 years. And then at age 70, they can start taking out the maximum Social Security benefit, because we've used some of the money that was in their home, and they still have $231,000 that they can continue to use or not, just depending on what needs come up and what options are available to them. So it's a way that can be done. And that is what I have for you.